very soon, coming around the corner on Saturday, May 4th, is an annual event that many disciples of Warren Buffett and the late Charlie Munger look forward to, which is none other than the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting. And it's coming up real soon, like I said, on May 4th, 2024. And one of us on this Investing Mastermind podcast is going to the meeting. Guess which one it will be? I'm Michelle Markey.
And I'm Signe Lundholt.
So, Sina, what would you say to this mysterious question I've posed?
It's me.
I was going to say, drum roll. Who's going? Sadly, I won't be going, but fortunately, Sina will be there to represent us both. So don't everybody run up to Sina and ask for autographs at the same time.
Well, it's usually actually you, Michelle, where people line up at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting. You guys, that actually happened last year when we were there. People come running, oh, Michelle Markey, the famous Michelle Markey. And then I'm like in the background, like, and there was somebody like, oh, yeah, I noticed your face. Like, that's
That's
but Michelle
awful.
Markey is the true star here. But
Not
yeah, no,
really.
you will be missed. I'm gonna miss you, my wing woman at Berkshire.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm
and
gonna.
I'm so happy you're going. I mean, it's going to be different this year. I'm sure like it will be very not the same as years past because we're sadly missing Charlie Munger, the best friend and investing partner of Warren Buffett. So, what do you think, Sina, about what this year's Berkshire is going to be like?
Yeah, I wonder if there's gonna be, any like maybe 1 minute silence period, or maybe in that video that they show before the meeting. So the meeting is being broadcasted, so you can see it live, but usually the people that are watching live online won't see a video that they actually have for the shareholders that's present at the meeting. And I wonder if that video will maybe be a ode to Charlie. Maybe they actually did record something, because they're old. So, usually those videos are very humorous. And I don't know if it's, a very fun situation necessarily, but they could potentially actually have done anything. So I'm thinking, did they prepare something about Charlie? Maybe there's going to be a video that's focused on Charlie, and maybe Warren Buffett is going to say some words. So maybe lots of things could happen, and I definitely hope there will be, maybe some special items that you can buy. We have here at home, we have like some Squishmallow teddy bears that I bought for the kids last year, and Charlie is definitely a favorite. So maybe there's going to be, some more special items.
Yeah, and maybe they'll show Charlie Munger's greatest hits, like all of his fun quips that he would say when he would say things like nothing to add or
Yeah.
just the funny things that he would say and all the things we'll miss Charlie for.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It is sad that he's not going to be there because he always would say something that was, where the way he would deliver it was super serious, but then it was so fun. Everybody just cracked up, it was like there's a short pause right after, his delivery is super serious, then there's a short pause while people just digest what he's saying, and then everybody's just cracking up because he's like smart and funny. So, or was. So yeah, he'll be missed, and it's going to be interesting to see what the so-called show is going to be like when it's only Warren Buffett. He used to do it alone back in the day, so of course he can do it, but I'm sure he's going to miss Charlie as well.
The two of them were the originals. Like I know Buffett has his successors up there with him, but it's not quite the same level of insight I feel like you would get as you get from a Charlie Munger who lived for almost 100 years. And I mean, nonetheless, other people who will be there again, as we can see, would be people like Becky Quick, reporter from CNBC, and she's going to again curate the questions that when CNBC is streaming the meeting, you can see what she will say to Buffett as shareholder questions. So if folks out there are interested in posing questions through Becky, they can submit questions to Berkshire questions at cnbc.com. I know one of our listeners asked me that question of, hey, how do I get a question asked? So if you're interested and you won't be there, that's the next best thing is funnel them through Becky because she picks a lot of great, insightful questions.
I always enjoy listening to those questions and especially the answers because some of the questions we've heard quite a few times asked, and people continue to ask those questions year after year. And, or at least the answers continue to be the same pretty much, but where there's always some variety and always something interesting. But actually, when I go there, I'm usually quite jet lagged. So to be honest, at some point during, usually they would be there, Warren and Charlie, they would be answering questions for 8 hours. And at some point, I'm taking a little nap in my seat because I'm jet lagged. I've been waiting in line since, you know, 3 or 4 a.m. or whenever I've been up, because I've been so
Yeah.
excited I couldn't sleep. So I'm like, oh, I want to go stand in line also because the line is amazing in and of itself. So, it's so exciting to meet fellow Berkshire Hathaway shareholders in the line and talk to them. So it's kind of part of the whole experience, in my opinion, to go stand in line.
Yeah. And that's actually another listener question we got is what time should people start lining up in front of the CHI Health Center arena? And I mean, in the years past, I've been a little bit lazier because sometimes there are some parties the night before, and then I only get up at 6 in the morning and there's already a huge line. But I've been lucky that some people who were online earlier than me, they saved me a seat. So I've gotten lucky a lot of the times in the last 2 years when I wanted to sit and I got great seats to see Buffett and Charlie Munger up close. But what would you recommend, Sina, as far as when people should get in line?
Well, it really depends. If you're alone, you can be lucky to get a really good seat. But if you're in a group, then you should probably go there pretty early, unless you want to be way in the back. There's like 40,000 people or something like that coming to the meeting. But if you're coming alone, you can oftentimes grab one of the empty seats where, in a very, very good location where somebody might not have, showed up to grab that seat, or a group that's kind of not sitting together. So it really depends. Again, if it's your first time coming to Berkshire Hathaway, I definitely recommend lining up because, like I say, it's an experience. And Michelle, you've gone, so you've had the whole experience of standing in line. And then, if you've done that already, maybe you want to come a little bit later. Now, again, what Michelle is saying about people saving her a seat is again speaking to Michelle's star quality here, because I think a lot of other people might not have that experience. But I know that, for example, at those parties late at night, people often actually coordinate so that, to take seats. But last year, they were actually, on the loudspeaker saying that, oh, you can't come in and then block seats. You can, I think, maybe block one seat, but not full rows. Uh, there was, security there ensuring that people wouldn't block full rows. But oftentimes at night at the bar or something like that, people will coordinate, oh, you stand in line and then I come later, or you'll meet people that, says, oh, I can save you a seat. I would say, as a rule of thumb, if you're coming in a group, you'll need to be there early. And now it's like really early. It's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m.
Wow,
Yeah.
that early?
Yeah. And it's getting, I wouldn't say now, it's not because I've been there a whole lot, but I was talking to a guy, and I can't remember his name, but he's usually kind of like the first person in line, and that's his thing. And this year, or sorry, last year, last year he wasn't actually the first one. So what he said was it's earlier and earlier. and he wasn't too early, but the people that came first, they were actually, please, sir, do stand first in line because, that's the whole thing that, he's known for. So they were kind to to let him get ahead in line. But then, as the doors open, people are running in, and no running, no running, but, a little
Mhm.
bit of fast walking and
Mhm.
to get a good
Yeah.
seat. And it's like the gold rush to get good seats. And then
Mhm.
one thing you have to think about, if you're sitting on the side, you're looking at an angle, so your neck might get hurt. And if you're sitting to look at the stage straight ahead, then you might not be able to see as well. So yeah, the best seat that we've been sitting at was actually when we sat and was on the side, and we were like really close to Buffett, and we could see all the family members, the Buffett family members coming in, as well as some of the famous CEOs that are also joining the meeting, and really get a real close look at some of those people that you've only seen on TV.
Mhm. Yeah, it was incredible, and I mean, there's some pros and cons to if you wanna get in line, like, a pro, like Sina mentioned, you meet amazing people and fellow investors, like, if you're lucky to line up in the right place, maybe you get to schmooze with the likes of Guy Spear or Monish Pabrai because they'll be out there with everybody else, and it could be cool if you wanna talk to them and you just so happen to be in the same line, or also if you're not so much a morning person, like I'm not a morning person, so to me, it's it would be not ideal to me to wanna get in line at 3 in the morning, so I can only make myself get up at, like, 5 or 6 something in the morning, and some people have been to a lot of these meetings that they really don't care to, be in that line at all. They just wanna sleep in, take their time, and they mill about and get in whenever they feel like, or they go shopping in the exhibit hall and they go check out that, and they'll catch up on what Warren Buffett says on the stream later. So some people also have that attitude where they prioritize networking or meeting up with certain people instead of sitting in the arena and watching the whole thing. So it's really a judgment call as to what people out there would rather do. Like, what is important to you? Do you want to listen to Buffett say something sometimes similar things to what he said before? Sometimes he says somewhat different things. So to me, in the last 2 years, it was all new and different enough that I wanted to be there as early as I could be and also watch that Berkshire movie. That's a pretty unique thing that's at like 8:45 in the morning. So you want to not miss out on that because you won't ever see that shown anywhere else.
Yeah, I know people too that aren't necessarily there for the meeting itself. They will stream it later, as you say, but everybody is in town. So you'll meet some of the biggest, most famous investors that are, showing up for different events. And, there's all sorts of secret gatherings and open events and all kinds of things happening, behind the
Yeah.
scenes, so to speak. Yeah.
Speaking of events, what are some of the events, Sina, that you think a lot of people out there could attend? And I'll also throw in some that I would suggest.
So some of my favorites that I'm so excited about is, first of all, Value X at Berkshire, which is Sky Spear Aquamarine Fund's event. They sent out a newsletter recently where there's a sign up link, and I'm not sure, maybe you need to subscribe to the newsletter to get the link. There's Matthew Peterson's barbecue, which is definitely the best festive event. This time it's going to be indoor, which is going to be interesting. So, but I'm looking forward to that too. And another highlight, which is mixing social with learning, is Vitaly Katzenelson, who is also an investor, and he has a brunch and QA, or breakfast and QA. And he actually, there was so much demand this year. I just got an email saying that they're opening up another, like a third session for that. So I know I'm already going to that too. Really excited about that one because the Q&A is amazing. It's Vitaly Katzenelson. He's written, amazing books as well. So go check him out, and he'll be answering all sorts of questions. Last year, I got to ask a question, so great answers, great discussion, and things like that. So, yeah, excited about that one too. But I'm going alone, so I'm also, it's going to be, of course, I know people there, but yeah, it's different this year, with you not being there. So,
Oh, it's all good, but you'll have such a great time and some other events that are going on that maybe you'll be at or that people might run into each other at include the Mario Gabelli conference. There's usually that, and they have some food in the morning there, or also the Markel brunch that's on the Sunday. So you could either choose to go on your 5K run that Berkshire sponsors, or a little bit later in the morning, they have the Markel brunch. So I know some people like going there. They have like breakfast sandwiches and yogurt and stuff like that. And you could listen to the Markel Insurance Company executives talk about all the exciting things they're doing. So those are some of the things that people could be on the lookout for as well. And there's a lot of other events. Like I know Willow Oak before has put on an event and they featured maybe some dinner hors d'oeuvres type of things, and some other things feature open bars. Like I know the Investors Podcast Network, led by your friend and fellow countryman.
yeah, Stig Brodersen. Yeah. He,
Yeah,
he was
they
there
they
last year,
have.
but I don't think he actually have to write him and say,
Uh-huh.
because I don't think he's coming, knowing Stig, I
Ah.
actually don't think he's coming, but maybe, I can, if he needs me to bring something, there's probably William Green is going to be there. And as you know, he's got a podcast on the Investors Podcast Network. So
Mhm.
maybe, yeah, I have to reach out to Stig and ask if I need to bring anything for William. I'll probably
Yeah, and
run into him.
for sure, and I know that they hosted some open bars last year as well as at Borsheim's, which is one of the subsidiary companies of Berkshire. They also feature some shareholder only events and have some open bars. So if that's appealing to people out there, there are lots of parties, as you can see, that people could be a part of. So, clearly you're not gonna be bored for sure if you seek out these events and if you get to know people. So as long as you're willing to be a little bit social, I think you're bound to have a great time out there.
Yeah, 100%. You're always meeting someone. And actually, at the Borsheims, I love that one too, because you run into people that you know from the community or that you've ran into earlier in previous years. Usually, some of Phil Town's instructors are going as well, and they are hilarious to hang out with. So I'm hoping, some of those guys will come this year because usually, yeah, we're having a blast as well. So
Yeah. So, I mean, by now it's late April by the time we're coming out with this podcast episode. So if you haven't already booked your lodging and your transportation to get there, you better get on it because it's just going to get extremely expensive the closer to the date. Like, I've heard of some people having to fly into Chicago and then drive for 8 hours to Omaha. Like, you want to try to avoid things like that unless you're from Chicago, and then it's no big deal that you take a little road trip and it's fun. But I've known some fellow shareholder friends that flew from an international country and had to fly into these faraway cities and then still drive to the meeting. So it can be a lot if you're doing this last minute. So, ideally you want to try to plan for this months in advance so that you're not feeling overwhelmed when you get there and trying to figure out what to do.
yeah, because also even, accommodation is really, really difficult at this time. It's going to be super difficult to find a place. Oftentimes, though, on different forums, there will be people looking for roommates or things like that, like Airbnb roomies. But most hotels are booked way in advance, and yeah, it's like really difficult to get a room. So once you've gone there one time, you know kind of the ins and out and know who to ask and where to stay and things like that. But it's always such a rush to actually get a hotel room, and it's also extremely expensive. So everything is expensive. If you get a hotel room, even, the first time I was there, I got a room way far outside, and I thought, oh, I'm just gonna take a Uber. That was pricey, because Ubers are kind of very pricey that week because there's a big demand for it. So I was like, okay, then I would rather pay more for a hotel closer to the venue and then not, have to pay so much for Uber. You never know what you're going to pay for getting back to the hotel. So yeah, I'm doing that this time. But usually, you've been staying in at Airbnbs, right? Or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and those worked out. Like, I mean, last year, one of my investing group friends had a rental car, so that worked out because, we could have maybe taken Ubers and stuff too, but it worked out that it was nicer to have a rental car that we could go anywhere, anytime, and we weren't held back by anything. So that was pretty good. The year before, I stayed by myself in an Airbnb, and then I would walk a lot and take the Heartland B-cycle bikes around the town. That was fun. We did that together one time. Like, just it was pretty convenient having these electric bicycles around, and you could get around the downtown. So if you were staying close enough to one of the depots where those electric bikes are, that was pretty cool. So I'd recommend that if people are interested in biking around, and if you're not afraid to walk, that's a can be a fun way to see Omaha, and also get to see cool things around there like Warren Buffett's house or his office building. If people want to get a sneak preview of what those places are like, you could check out some of my videos or shorts also on my YouTube channel. It's Michelle Markey Investing if anyone's interested in checking that out. So I've also provided tips before as to what to look out for if you're going to Berkshire Hathaway for the first time or still need to order your meeting credentials or tickets, as people sometimes refer to them as. So if you need help figuring that out, check out my videos about how to attend the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting.
Yeah, and I definitely highly recommend those videos because the first time I was going, you had an interview. I believe it was at a meet that you interviewed about, his experience at Berkshire Hathaway, and I was taking notes because he had a lot of good also insights. So go back and even, the videos from the past that Michelle recorded are really helpful to understand, the ins and out of the Berkshire Hathaway meeting. So yeah, definitely recommend listening to those.
Yeah, and Adam Mead is great. He's the author and also fellow investor, and he's been attending the Berkshire Hathaway meetings for more than a decade. So he's a great person to network with if you find him. I'm sure he'll also be selling his book again. I have to guess, because that's a pretty good book that he came out with in the last few years, and I highly recommend checking out the financial history of Berkshire Hathaway. And I know I missed one of the words there. I'm pretty sure it's the complete financial history of Berkshire Hathaway. So yeah, it's definitely well worth it if you are curious to learn all the things about Berkshire. And Adam Mead is such a great teacher and friend of ours.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also looking forward to speaking to him. I'm sure he's going to be there as well. So yeah, lots of good people to catch up with, that's, there's only an opportunity this time of year and it's just going to be awesome. But usually there's not a whole lot of ladies there, so it's always fun. I think hopefully there's, some of the the ladies we've hung out with earlier that's also going to be there. But regardless, if you're a man, if you're a woman and you see me there, you're welcome to come say hi. If you don't know what I look like, we do have a YouTube channel. So yeah, or write us on Instagram or email us if you're going. It would be great to know that you're coming. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, I hope you have a wonderful time at Berkshire Hathaway, Sina, and I'm sure you'll tell me all about it, and we'll do another podcast episode about your experience, and I'll watch the stream online, and maybe I'll have some thoughts as well. So I think it'll be great. I think you're going to have a wonderful experience again, and I'm definitely very keen on learning about what you learned. So I look forward to the next time we talk about Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah, me too. I'm also very excited. So yeah, thank you so much for listening in. We are back on Tuesday.
Till next time.
If you enjoyed the show and found the content informational, we would be super grateful if you would leave us a review and follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you automatically get new episodes in your feed. We publish a new show every Tuesday.
The contents of the Investing Mastermind podcast are for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. None of this is investing advice, and if you need help in your personal situation, please consult with a professional.